Still showing chat is disabled.
Yeah, I'm trying to find that, dude.
That's what I'm saying. It should be showing chat right now.
I know it should be showing chat. I'm trying to figure that out, okay?
You may have to actually start the live stream, but I don't know.
The live stream is on right now.
I don't see me. Are we actually doing something?
You're not going to see anything on that screen. You have been told that multiple times.
We have no chat. I have no way of communicating.
I know. I am trying to find out, okay?
You say we're supposedly on, but I have absolutely no indications.
Shows right there.
I have no.
See, it says we are live right now.
Which is fine.
I'm trying to figure it out, dude.
We're trying to figure out how to get some chat showing.
We're trying to figure out.
If somebody knows and has my phone number, give me a call. Because trying to do this not using the YouTube methodology means that you're jumping back and forth. And apparently somewhere there's something we were supposed to do that has not been done. Do we have any people showing up there? Doesn't seem to show. Now we have two showing.
We are trying to get the chat to work over here,
Yeah.
people. If you can hear us and you have a chat box, please put something in it. Lower than the recommended. Yeah, we know that.
I don't care about that. Stupid computer. Could you show us where the frickin' chat is?
There it is. Okay.
Okay, we got. Hi, Jean-Francois. Hi, Shaggy. Okay. Currently, that's not updating over here, though.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm working on, dude.
Understand. Hey, Jean-Francois, thank you. Hi, Rusty.
Hi, Rusty. Please sit back. I will do what I can to
Do
get
what you
this
can.
over there.
Good, because I can't do anything without having it over here. You want me to look at stuff? Well, I can't look at anything unless I'm looking there if it's not over here.
You read what's on the chat. I am going to have to...
Anyhow, she's going to be doing some work in the background there. Out there for the moment. You might be able to grab this one and just move it over there too. I don't know.
Well, I don't want to move it too far or else it will come over here again.
Okay.
I have no way of figuring out whether this is going to be
anyhow
preserved.
So here we are again trying to figure out computers because we don't know. This is why I am a huge favor of, if you're going to do something new, do it half a dozen times in quick succession with the person who knows how to do it, so that you do it again and again, and you get it where at least 3 times perfectly before the instructor leaves. Because this is exactly what happens. It's just natural. Sorry. If you're not happy, that's because it isn't working perfectly, and that's why I was saying. This is why
I am trying to find a way to make sure that your chat actually gets preserved after this, and I can't. So I don't know whether it's going to.
We may have to change it later. Oh, yeah, absolutely, David. So, I think you will have to accept the probability that the live chat is probably not going to be replayed. So, be ready to take notes if you want to.
Jean-Francois, I'm trying to get him to watch his screen. It doesn't do anything.
I am looking at my screen right now, and I have been for the last minute. Anyhow, So, we've had a generally a productive week, with the exception of the bob mill. Both the bearings blew up on it. Now, the bearings themselves didn't, the housings that hold it. I'm thinking that perhaps they're pillow blocks, and perhaps when the shaft was being difficult to remove from the bearings, so I could get the rotor out to do some work on it, I might have cracked the housings. It's entirely possible. So I may have to do a little bit more polishing on the end of the shaft to let it go through the bearings easier. Currently, we have one functional bearing, which is totally inadequate, and we have two Chinesium ones on the on order that'll be here on Friday, which means right now we can't really run the mill itself. Now, we have in the neighborhood of 40 buckets of samples from this last trip. We took most of the rock from the lower discovery cabin area. Eva did most of that work while I was digging into the hillside trying to expose a mineralized structure. Not a particular mineralized structure, any mineralized structure. And yeah, exactly. But it's not showing anything at this point. It looks to me like everything I'm digging is essentially slough at the moment. It's not decomposing bedrock in place. Okay? So, and as such, I can't really tell what's going on, except I didn't find anything of any value. Eva, on the other hand, was on the dumps, selecting quartz, putting it in buckets, marking them, etc. So we have in the neighborhood of 30 buckets of quartz. Well, actually, it's 27 buckets of quartz, and so have you lost it, or you just?
I am just trying to get back to it, dude.
Okay, okay, we do have a live stream. Okay, what size bearings we need? 1 inch shaft pillow blocks. I think it's 4 1/8 inch center to center on the bolt holes. Not a big problem. We got other stuff we can do this week. I haven't done that yet, Jean-Francois. We left on Friday morning. By Friday afternoon, we had access down to the lower discovery cabin area. Saturday, most of the day we worked there. Eva was gathering samples and filling buckets. I was alternating between digging the mountainside and hauling the buckets up on the quad. So by afternoon, we were down to 8 buckets still empty. And I said, that's it. We're going to stop right here. We're going to go up to the disturbed area near the mystery dump there. And actually, they're like this. So I don't think that's a square pillow block. But so
Yeah, we don't have one up here, unfortunately.
what I did there, when we had been building, an access path, we're extending the access path to the mystery dump so we could more easily load quartz. I was digging into the little side where the dozer corner bit had worked, and I was pushing that back just a little bit. And in
Just a warning,
what?
we're getting a whole heck of a lot of dropped frames. If we
Okay.
lose it, we lose it. There's
Okay.
nothing I can do.
We have Ethernet connection right now, so we shall see what happens. If anyone notices anything, let us know in terms of the quality of the transmission. So anyhow, while we were digging that, at one particular spot, I noticed that every time I dug down, I seemed to come up with a chunk of quartz. And it seemed statistically unlikely. And the soil did not seem very much disturbed. Therefore, I assumed that we might have actually hit a, what do you call it, a vein. Now, because we thought we might have one, okay, thank you, Jean-Francois. So anyhow, we went back to that area and started digging some more to see if we could uncover something. And then in that process, we again found an area with consistently chunk supports. There was occasional wall rock in there, but it was primarily quartz and much finer grained material. Now that looked very similar to what I found at the Discovery cabin 3 or 4 weeks ago. Again, we had chunks of quartz coming out, and then there was finer grained material coming with it. We segregated those, and the finer grained material did not seem to have nearly as much gold in it. Hey, Mr. Virtue. So, at this location, we
Hi, Mr. Virtue.
kept pulling up these chunks of quartz. It was not a solid vein. It was chunks of quartz. I presume it had other minerals between them at some time, and they pretty much weathered out. And so I'm thinking this might be more of a stringer vein, which is like a number of veins close together. We have significant numbers of specimens of fractured big belt sedimentary wall rock where the fractures have been filled with quartz. And I'm going to make a video this week. I'll show you some of that. Basically, a larger example of that is what I'm thinking. Interestingly enough, on one side of this, I'd say pretty definitively vein structure at this time, or mineralized structure, there's a sudden change in color from a light brown to a almost white. And the white material is extremely weathered. It's more like soil, you know, a relatively fine-grained soil at that. You just put the matic point in it, just drag it right through. I presume that was another wall rock that was heavily altered by the solutions. On the other side of this vein structure, we have not defined its limits yet. We ran out of time, and so we have no idea if we were at the limit or whether it goes 100 feet further. I'm pretty sure it doesn't, but I mean, we really don't know. I'm kind of guessing because we saw some more wall rock that it's probably the side of the vein there, but we'll see. And yes, Jean-Francois, that's exactly what I plan on doing. But
I wanted to talk to you about that because I think in addition to following the direction the vein appears to be going, we might want to try digging down to the same level and doing a channel across
yeah, we're gonna go cross structure,
Where you
long
were
structure, and everything.
putting stuff to make your road.
We need to go over to the side until we clearly are in wall rock for a few feet at least. Okay?
Yeah.
During this process, we're taking samples. We have 5 buckets of quartz chunks from the vein and 3 buckets of 1/2 inch minus material sieved from the fine soil-like residuals from getting those rocks. And we would sieve it to 1/2 inch plus and minus. The 1/2 inch plus, I would look at and physically remove any pieces of quartz that I saw, and then throw the wall rock to the side. This process was fairly easy to do because the quartz has different shapes. Color looks about the same initially. It's hard to tell, but different shapes make it pretty easy to tell. So we've got right now just 2 samples, 5 buckets of quartz, 3 buckets of 1/2 inch minus. When we go back, I want to take a sample of that white material, hey Alex, and see whether that has anything. I'm thinking it might be a calcite or something like that. No buckets of kryptonite. I'll say this is not that tough, which is good. And it's all just digging by hand right now. I mean, pick and shovel is easy digging at the moment. So as we further develop, we'll get bulk samples of things and test them out. We have done in the past, and I mean, like the last few trips, we have the capacity. We bring 10 gallons of panning water. We have pans, tubs, all the stuff we need, so that whenever we want, we can, pan a sample out. The one thing we can't do is do much in the way of crushing. Because the caps lock was on, by the way.
I know.
Okay.
I put it on purpose.
Okay. But anyhow, so we like to take big samples, and we will go ahead and take samples, crush,
Shiny.
etc. Now, the other thing we're planning on doing on this set of samples, and potentially some new ones, is to do the bottle roll assay. A couple reasons. Number one, right now, theoretically, HITL is down for at least another 2 weeks. But also, we wanted to try using bottle rolls and then solution assays, because the sample in a bottle roll is about 500 grams. And as such, statistically, you're going to get better results. Falcon MD20, David, while you're scanning it, I can dig it, crush it, and sluice it. And I'll get a much bigger sample. We're also using the sluice, stage 1 of the sluice, the VDR mat.
Hi, Shaggy. And by the way, I don't know if you saw what I said. If this freezes or drops, we will not be trying to restart, because we've got no signal here.
Huh?
I put a note in the chat.
I saw I heard what you're saying, but why not try and restart?
If we do, we'll be restarting on my phone. It will be at least 15 or 20 minutes. And my phone is not going to be much better, because I have no stuff.
But anyhow, say I can crush a 100-pound sample, run it through the pulverizer and over the sluice box fairly easily, less than 30 minutes. That gives us a 100-pound sample where we're getting all the way down to 300 or 400 mesh. So that's probably much more informative, and certainly will go a lot faster. So what I'm going to try to do the next couple of weeks is make some videos basically showing how we're taking the 2 samples from the vein at the disturbed area, working with those, and kind of a step-by-step process. So for the people that aren't highly knowledgeable on this, we'll be able to have kind of a play-by-play as to how you can do these things. I was talking to a gentleman just last night, and he was wondering a number of questions and everything, and it just makes it simple to redo everything. I keep forgetting everything I've said 10 times. There's people out there that haven't heard it yet. Okay? But anyhow, so the discovery area, the disturbed area, is our tentative preliminary target. Okay? This may change depending upon when the samples from the lower disturbed area come back, the lower discovery cabin come back at. If those things are coming out multi-ounces a ton, which I do not expect, then priorities will probably change. But the disturbed area is close to camp, easy to get to, it's on surface, and, would be easy to mine. So, as far as I can tell, we're probably going to be going up there next weekend and opening that hole a lot larger and seeing what we find. Currently, we don't know too much. I'm just going to kind of describe or diagram what we have here. We have a hole in the side of a hill. On the side, it's a fairly steep slope for a road, but not steep for a hill. So we basically come in kind of like this. Okay? This area here was white. And it's like a soil. It's that decomposed. Then over here, we have quartz plus wall rock. And this is brown. And then here, who knows? Okay? So we'll be...
You forgot to put the tree in over here.
What tree? Who cares?
Okay. It orients me at the very least.
Well, fine. So anyhow, so this is where we'll start at. We'll be working this way, and this way, and this way, and just opening up this hole. And it'll, by necessity, as we open it this way, it's going to get deeper. Also, we'll try and, because we're going down from the top, we don't have a good clean face to look at, which makes interpretation a bit more difficult. As we get the hole bigger, we'll have a better ability to visualize what we've got there. And I say, this week, before we head back up, we will have panning of this material here. And we have some as quartz, some as fines. We can split, crush, pulverize, and pan easily ourselves. We'll probably, assuming that the panning results look interesting, we'll probably use these as tests for the bottle roll testing. So, anyhow.
Yes, I'm looking for gold in the trees, Kodak. That's one of the things on my list.
Yeah. So, this is kind of what we're planning on doing the next time we're up there. And what we're planning on doing this week is just processing samples. Now, in terms of how we're processing samples, first of all, we start with large samples. Okay? The smallest sample we have from this trip was like 20 pounds, he would say. There's two rocks. They're quartz, but they've got an unusual red color. Okay?
Pink, not red.
Whatever. But anyhow, they were unusual, so she segregated those. What's the next smallest sample? 3 buckets?
Jean-Francois said we need to metal detect the trees. Good idea, the MD-20. Give it a shot. Our next smallest sample, I believe, is 3 buckets.
Yeah. So the next small sample is 3 buckets. We got 2 of those, which are fines. Then we got 5 buckets of quartz for there, and then we got a whole bunch of other stuff. But I think those are pretty much all in one thing. But anyhow, we start with large samples. Then we jaw crush if needed. Okay. The other stuff, and I say the few things that we screen, we don't need to jaw crush. And so I'll put optional here. From there, we're going to split. Because these are big samples, and I don't want to spend a lot of time and wear on my rolls crusher on the RC46, we want to split it down to like half a bucket and then pulverize it. By going through the rolls crushers, and then from here, we can pan. And from there,
Oh, wow, Shaggy, that sucks. ACLs are no fun to mess up.
okay? So this is kind of the sequence we're planning, and we will see how well this works out, but this will give us some guidance. It doesn't, it's not definitive, but it gives us, in general, some pretty good guidance. Once you've taken ore samples from an area before and you got a good idea how they behave, you can usually make some pretty good guesses or estimates, rather. That's better than
Wow.
guess.
They're now targeting the pubs.
So some educated estimates, and that helps you do some things. Like next weekend, we'll probably pan some of that white stuff while we're up there. You know? And as such, we'll go ahead and check that while we're there. Up till now, no samples of wall rock without veinlets of quartz in them have shown any substantial gold. Okay? So we're not concerned about the wall rock right now. We will probably get a wall rock sample, 1 bucket, crush and pan it just for thoroughness. Never assume anything. That's how things get screwed up. Always just double check everything, be thorough, you know, and like that. So that's kind of the idea, and go from there. I really wish the bob mill was running and that we could. I ordered 1 bearing from Motion Industries last week to replace the one that failed, and gods, they got the wrong bearing in. They went and I said, I mean, they had the old one, pillow block. Well, the guy put F instead of P on it, and so they got me a flange bearing. Well, that's not going to work. I need a pillow block bearing. So, anyhow, we're not going to be able to do much with the bob mill this week. It'll be Friday before the other bearings get in, so we'll be doing mainly testing and using the RC46 for that. Hey, Chris, how's it going?
Hey, Chris.
So, anyhow.
Oh, the problems are just beginning in the direction of this, okay?
This?
Don't even, I'm not even going to get into how I'm feeling about OBS and this stream at the moment, and YouTube and the stream, and everything that has to do with this. We ain't going to go there. Move your camera, you just messed it up again.
I'm sorry, I can't see anything because nothing here is me. Okay? I was trying to get some room to do something. I guess I'll have to use the floor. But anyhow, so we'll use the RC46. We'll crush everything. None of the quartz in this general area has ever been crap in terms of gold content. None of it's been real rich either. But it's one of those deals where we'll crush it and we'll pulverize, we'll split it, we'll pulverize for a sample, and then the rest will just be stockpiled ready to run through the bob mill when we get it fixed. It's going to be kind of annoying because we're going to have to put it on a tarp, it looks like, because we're going to need the buckets empty again. So
well, that's the funniest part about this, honey bunny. The dirty looking nice iron stained quartz don't have shit in it. When we have found it, it don't have shit. The good stuff is the stuff that looks like pure white pretty quartz, and my crystal clusters have gold in them.
Yeah. Bearing failure, the housing on the bearing. I may have been more forceful in removing the rotor to do a little work on it than was good for the housings. I'll probably have to take a little emery cloth to the end of the shaft and get a little more clearance there.
Major disturbance is happening in Birmingham.
So that's all. Nothing big. Now, I will say this. Eva can control her fear. Oh, exactly, Jean-Francois. I agree. The bob mill, when a bearing fails or gets a little misaligned, becomes extremely noisy.
And vibratory.
It sounds
jumps.
like somebody's shooting a armor plate with a 50 caliber machine gun.
And it jumps.
And it's pretty violent. And so, but you got to go in there to turn off the engine. So she did so, but I mean, it's loud. You could hear it probably a quarter mile away. So, yeah, the misalignment was caused by the bearing failure in this case, Honey Bunny. When we put it in place, it's carefully aligned and running true and smooth and like that. But yeah, when the housing, that would be a good idea, Chris. I agree completely. Hey, Culture.
Hiya, Culture. How goes it?
So, you don't happen to know for sure, Crispy, but those little switches on like a Honda or a Harbor Freight, those, when you turn them off, they ground the ignition circuit. Is that correct? Because if so, it would be pretty easy to make a parallel circuit with a separate switch. And that would be, yeah, if you either want to spend a lot more time pulling off the cover to get inside, which needs to be done on a very regular basis, or, yeah, that's what I was thinking, Chris. Or else you're going to have it running in dirt. And, like I say, I think I was just banging too hard on the shaft because I had to get it out to fix something. And that's, I think, because it's been running for quite a while with no problems. So that's my assumption. I mean, how
Yeah,
do you
we
lose
had
two
those
bearings
2 bearings right away.
in 1 hour, both with housing failures? Sounds to me like I messed things up. But anyhow, we'll find out when we get the new ones in. I'll just make sure I get that shaft a little bit smaller before I try and get it out of there. But
Wow.
the next mill that I design, I am going to put a larger space between the bearings so that there's less leverage. And I'm, going to build, bigger shaft and stuff like that. So you just have a lot more strength. Chris, I don't see how the end of a shaft that's touching steel can last very long if there's no bearing, and if it doesn't last long, in other words, no longer touching the steel, I don't see how it's good. It operated for months with no problem. Then I had one issue because it was unbalanced, and had to take it out and had to beat the crap out of it with a 2-pound hammer to get it out. And I think, if you take some and smash it with a hammer hard enough, it's going to be a problem. I think that's what happened because, I got the rotor rebalanced to within a gram. Shouldn't be a problem. We shall see what we shall see. Well, I'm just using commercial, I presume, ball bearings. I don't know. But they're, 1-inch shaft, greasable pillow block bearings. And I'm guessing they're probably ball bearings, but they could be roller. I don't know. I know that we were shopping today at Helena Tractor Supply, or Helena Farm Supply, sorry. And they had the cheap Chinesium bearings for $28 each, or you could buy expensive American-made bearings for $110 each. The boss decided we'll try the cheap ones first. And I think, considering where we got on the last ones, that probably makes sense.
I think we need a large single bearing that's about 6 inches
You can't have
wide.
a large single bearing. Okay? Yeah. And as I say, future iterations, I'm going to widen the frame there, so I got a lot more distance between the bearings, and I'll put hello Brian, I'll put a much bigger shaft so that I've got that too. I'm not sure how much a 2-inch shaft pillow block would cost. Of course, it depends whether it's Chinesium or American, I'm sure. But I'm guessing probably 5 times as much. Haven't researched it yet. But yeah, the whole situation, I suspect it was because they've been running no problem for a long time. Then I had to refurbish the rotors, the impactors. I was having trouble getting it balanced right. I understand what you're saying, Chris. I don't think it's going to be useful. Okay? That's what I'm saying. I don't see anything wobbling except I had an unbalanced shaft because I couldn't get the damn things to work and I ran out of hard face. Okay? So I said, well, okay, it's 10 grams different. Let me throw it in there and see what happens. Apparently not the best idea. Now they're all balanced to within 1 gram. And it took me quite a while on a couple of, for some strange reason. That new hard face rod I bought is a lot more liquid.
Oh,
but,
dear Lord.
You know, assay, it's just one of those things that I would only have to redo everything on the, I had to redo the outer cover, redo the shaft, redo the rotor. I'd have to rebuild everything, which in a future iteration maybe.
By the way,
Possibly,
people,
Chris.
in unrelated news that is just rather amusing, Taylor Swift fans are in awe because Taylor Swift has recorded a song that is 10 minutes long. First time ever in music history. You go, girl.
But anyhow, so I say I've got a problem of abrasion, dirt, stuff like that. I try and keep all the bearing stuff outside the chamber for a reason. Around that shaft, I got it's sucking air in. The dust is not coming out. It seems to work pretty good. Say I've got the design works well for long periods of time. And then I had one problem, started beating on it with a hammer, had other problems. You know? Exactly, Chris.
Yeah, that's the funny part about it. They are all getting hurt fifis right now because all of us who are older than Taylor are remembering things like Inagata Davida and Echoes and Jethro Tull.
Even Bye Bye America Pie was almost that long.
Thick as a brick, and yes, the Doors, you know, and Rachmaninoff, Mahler, Mozart.
Yeah. So anyhow, as I say, the one I built for Jimmy, it had 1.25 inch shaft. Everything else is pretty much the same, but 1.25 inch shaft and a wider base between the bearings. Yeah, I know, Kodak. If you were over here and you could get it out, I would have happily let you do it. As I say, it's just pretty annoying. I also probably ought to get a puller. You know, hi, Rock. How's it going?
Hi, Rock.
We should have some interesting stuff to show you next week or next time we have a video where we open up that quartz vein some more and get a better look at it. And that may be kind of the yeah, you bet, Chris. So that's why I was saying, like, you know, 2-inch shaft for a slightly larger machine. I don't anticipate making a larger diameter rotor, just a longer rotor. But yeah, you're going to a 2-inch shaft is going to make a huge difference. I think one of the problems now, again, even notice something that I hadn't, and it may have some validity and value here. When we came back to the top of the hill area near the disturbed area this year, she noticed some quartz rocks sitting on the side of the road in a particular spot And she says we're not there the year before.
Oh,
I
they
certainly
were.
don't remember them there. And so she's thinking that it might have been due to frost heave, what they would call in New England a rock harvest. So it's possible that the reason we see all these holes out there all along the mountainside and stuff is that originally there was these quartz of chunks of quartz float that were sitting there from frost heave, and so they would see that, and then they'd dig a hole there to see if there was anything underneath it.
Yeah, because to put this in perspective, last season when we were up there, I was doing a survey of all those dang holes. And I walked that whole area, and I was specifically checking every dang rock I saw on the surface for quartz, because we had not found any quartz outcroppings anywhere. And I wanted to know where the heck the quartz in the dump that I was working on was coming from. And there was no freaking quartz float on that hill. When we got back there this spring, well, this summer, I found what my grandmother called nests. This is, okay, a rock harvest is where a bunch of frost heaves in a field in Maine, it always happened in plowed fields, caused the field to be filled with rocks in the spring. And the rocks would come in little groups like they were in a nest, because a larger rock got broken up by frost heaves and migrated to the surface. So you'd have these little piles of 2, 3, 4 rocks, and then there'd be another little pile with 2, 3, 4 rocks. And there happened to be a pile like that next to a tree, right next to a hole that the old timers had dug. Not a big trench, but a small hole. And I had surveyed and loamed that hole the year before, and there was no quartz there. So I also found more quartz float on the way to the other area, the lower discovery cabin, that was not there last year because I was looking for it.
And she's probably correct, but that may be what the old timers are looking at, and we may be looking at rock, a lot more of small veins, stringer veins, stuff like that. There's a notation for the mine underneath the claim owner's claim that we know is there, and it says that there's this 1,000-foot long drift that follows a 40-foot wide vein of zone of broken rock. And so basically that vein, it would have been nice to have a little bit more information than that. Dip would have been really nice, but so we know theoretically somewhere on surface where to look. But yeah, and so that may be why you don't see so many big things, just or a lot of little stuff. Don't know. It's an interesting situation, and I'm real happy now that we got something that we can start exposing.
And next week, I'm going to have pictures taken under the microscope of some of the host rock I found, because some of this host rock, we've got host rock that is absolutely pure, clean, all one solid color, no mineralization anywhere in it. Then we got host rock that's got little dendrites and little leopard spots of black all the way through it. That's all there is to it. Well, this time we also found, right next to quartz, we found wall rock that had been broken up and had little teeny tiny stringer veins of quartz, the toothy kind, all the way through it, that I'm going to show pictures of. But I brought home several samples because this was a new species that we found, along with the pink stuff. I had not found pink quartz anywhere on that dang hill. This is not rose quartz. I believe that, yeah, it's not rose quartz. I believe it might actually be some form of pink biologic that's growing on the quartz. I want to get it under my microscope to see. But it was the only place I have found it, and there is not much.
We know where the opening is, Brian. It's not on the clay motor's claims. There's an 1,800-foot access tunnel that crossed another smaller vein on the way in. And then they followed the vein at about a 90-degree angle for 1,000 feet.
Chris, I would absolutely love to be able to mount it so it was clear enough to look through. That would be amazing.
I have a diamond blade for the grinder, and so I could theoretically make a flat cut and get it somewhat polished. Heck, you can even use just a lapping wheel to get it polished, and then put some water or something on it while you take a photograph. So we could do something like that. We're generally so busy that we haven't gone to that level of detail. This week, because the bob mill is Wars to Combat, we'll have a little bit more time to do stuff. I'll work a little more on videotaping and get everybody a little bit better look at the various stuff. One of the guys yesterday commenting on the video says, so when you broke open the quartz, what did it look like? And it's like, that's a good point. I know what it looks like. You know? No, I'm sure it did, Brian. Unfortunately, the access tunnel is caved right now, and it is not on the mine owner's claims. All that area there has a bunch of patented claims on it, and he would have to buy it. You know, was it before World War II? Yes,
absolutely.
You know, so as I say, we got a lot of interesting.
Well, Ross, if you're still here, what I'm curious about when it comes to the manganese there, I've got two different species going on. In my green host rock, usually in my greens to browns host rock, I have dendrites that look like ferns, leaves, etc. In the reds to grays, we've got round leopard spot, like black stuff. And I'm just wondering what the difference is there.
I don't know, Chris. That's kind of not my bailiwick. There's some, I don't know, interpersonal relationships and stuff that are involved and stuff like that. Eva has a smartphone. So, Caltopo LiDAR, huh? I wish Montana would get their LiDAR stuff up. But,
yes, I have a smartphone.
And we know the name of the mine, etc. And the information we have currently is very, very limited. If they ever get the damn museum opened up so we can get back to the information, we might be able to get a lot more. We hadn't put the kind of focus on this spot that we had Montana Beach, so we've got a lot of options available to us in terms of research that we have not explored.
Well, what I'm planning to do, Rock, is when we get back up there again this weekend, I was already planning to grab some pieces of the different stuff so I could get them under my microscope and get pictures that we can show on the live stream, because I did not bring any home this time. I was more worried about bringing home the brecciated host rock with a little tiny, super clear, toothy quartz going through it.
Well,
because that's
you
really
may
cool.
have some pieces in some of the screenings and stuff. Anyway.
Yeah, we may well.
So we shall see what we wind up with.
I can tell you, Rock, that when I look at it under the light, it tends to have an iridescent bluish sheen to it, an iridescent bluish greenish sheen to the black. It's not rainbowed. It's pretty much in the deep blue, green, purple spectrum as to the sheen that it has when you look at it under the light.
Yeah.
The color itself is black.
Yeah, well, we're gonna. I say next time we're up there, which probably this weekend, I will make a specific effort to kind of expose what's going on and observe it. He says, "Yep, that's manganese oxide,"
Okay.
and observe it and
Thank you.
and record it so that everyone can get a good view of what we're doing and what we're seeing there. My thought is probably that vein is only about 14 inches wide, and because we hit some host rock towards the side there. I think that's wall rock, but for all I know, it's just an inclusion. We got a lot more digging to do. Luckily, it's an easy place to get to.
Yeah, because I just get this feeling that we're going to find all kinds of little, like, beamlets of stuff.
We could probably do that, Chris. We usually have, 10 gallons of water with us for panning and stuff, and this has easy access. It would be easy to take the water to the thing. I mean, it's we kind of moved our camp a little bit, and so I'm thinking we're maybe 200 meters or less line of sight between the Minor Bago and the surf area.
That sounds pretty cool, Rock. Thank you. The next time I have some in the lab, I will try that.
We also have a rock that we brought back with us that I believe has the bugs of dissolved calcite. It looks to me like it's got that weird 110, 70-degree angle thingy going. But I'll try and get a good view of that too. Oh yeah, Chris, it is.
You can't get more convenient than this. I'm just hoping that we end up with a huge pile of this quartz. But the weird thing about this thing is it does in fact look like the quartz was in some sort of matrix with some other material, and that other material done disappeared because all the quartz is just sitting there. This is not a competent vein of anything. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
At this time.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Now, as I say,
I got lots of pictures to take for you guys this week. Don't worry.
We were tired and racing the sun, and so we weren't focused. We were so happy to finally find a damn quartz vein in place, in the wild, not just chunks of quartz laying there, that we really didn't focus too much on documentation. And we'll do a lot more of that this trip. But yeah, it's quite convenient, Chris. The trail between camp and this thing is such that any decent runner could literally run down it. Okay? I mean, where we drive the quad, yeah. I mean,
I could run down it, and I can't run, people.
That's it. So it is extremely convenient, and say the spot that we're working right now, you saw the video, it's just open. Hey Kenneth, how's it going? So
Hi, Kenneth.
I say I really hope it works out well because it's really easy to get to and work on.
And again, if anybody's got
Absolutely.
any mining questions, please ask.
Yeah. So, as I say, we ran out of time to really get much figured out. But yeah, and that's what I'm wondering. The white stuff right next to the vein, I don't know what it used to be, but I think it's been heavily altered. And I say when we dig into it a little bit, everything. Another thing we should do also is take some acid with us. I should have an acid bottle up here somewhere.
I believe you had one,
Yeah, it's right there.
hydrochloric or something.
Yeah. Need to take that with us too. But all in all, it was a pretty positive trip. Even though it was a little bit hot, the flies were a lot fewer and a lot less aggressive.
One bite right here.
I got one right here
I got one bite right here.
that it's pretty much stopped itching now, but it was unpleasant for a couple of days. And I say it's we're pretty good, and we're pretty happy with that. Hopefully, we'll get some good grade, and then we can really focus on moving some rock here. We can move it from there. Hey, Red Wing, how's it going?
Hi, Red Wing.
So we shall see what we shall see.
Wow.
Okay, Rock. Is it every metal bearing fluid? I mean, are all the sulfide solutions basically do the same? Those are all acid, if I'm not mistaken. And so when you get the calcium carbonate, it really affects the pH, doesn't it? Rather than getting like the calcium precipitating the metals some other way. But it isn't the pH the main mechanism, or am I mistaken? But yeah, say it could be that it would be a really good spot. I'm not sure what that white stuff is, but I know it feels like soil. Really, it feels like soil. It's that heavily decomposed and weathered. I'm not sure how decomposed it is at depth. Right there on surface, it's heavily decomposed. Let me get a drink here.
He'll be right back, folks.
Calcite is the mineral of which limestone is formed, calcium carbonate. And it occurs in many different ways. Caliche is calcite, etc. But in this case, we have sedimentary formations, and the documentation is they're mostly shales and siltstones, but there is some dolomite, and I'm not sure whether or not you got much in the way of limestone directly, but I know there's dolomite in there. Hi, Lars, how's it going?
Hi, Lars.
And so I believe dolomite does exactly the same thing, Rock, doesn't it? Okay, Rock. Magnesium, okay. Question, little one.
Mm-hmm.
The way we're operating right now, if you wanted to look up something, would it be okay for you to do it on that computer?
With it dropping the frames the way it is, which
Okay.
I'm assuming is because we're sharing this connection
Okay.
with a high intensity thing.
Okay. Could
What do you need me to look up?
look up on your smartphone then, Big Belt Formation,
Yeah, okay.
okay?
Why? I already know about it.
I want to see if it actually has limestone. I think I read that it had limestone. I know it had dolomite in it. I'm not sure if it actually had actual
The
limestone.
belt supergroup.
Yep.
Primarily finely grained sedimentary rocks and mafic intrusive rocks of the late Precambrian age. What did named after the Big Belt Mountains in west central Montana. Extended to Canada. Blah blah blah. Economically significant deposits of lead, zinc, silver, copper, gold, and other metals in certain areas.
Yeah, it's all over
And
there.
fossil stromatolites.
See? Could have stromatolites there.
Primary mudstone and argillite, other sandstone, quartzite, conglomerate, and intrusives.
Okay, so it's not much in the way of dolomite or limestones, huh?
Mudstone, siltstone, quartzose, sandstones, and limestones in various places.
Okay.
Most have undergone weak metamorphism to green schist facies,
Species.
and as a result, the mud rocks are commonly classified as argillites and sandstones as quartzites.
Okay. Yeah. Slightly altered, yep. So, anyhow,
The belt supergroup is also known for molar tooth structures in carbonates, a bacterial degassing structure, and various types of stromatolites.
okay. Those are fossils.
Yeah.
But anyhow, so if that white stuff happens to be either an altered limestone or dolomite, yeah, you can wind up with some pretty good.
I don't believe it is, personally.
I don't know. I said we'll find out. I said we'll do the acid test and stuff and see what there is. But whatever it is, it's been thoroughly altered. And
I want to find fossils, okay? And I want to find quartz clusters. I want to find a crystal garden, because those quartz clusters I'm finding came from a crystal garden. And not a mature one, but,
Yeah.
I want to find a crystal garden in situ. That would be nice.
so, an old spring. Well, all this area basically is fractures in the rock that has had minerals deposited from geothermal solutions. But the belt supergroup, the main formation of this, well, I don't know,
And
a
there
couple
is
100 miles long.
there is no surface water. Yeah, there's no creeks or anything at that elevation. All the creeks and hot springs, there are tons of hot springs in this county. All the creeks and hot springs and things are a whole lot lower than we are.
The belt supergroup is
No back
from
guano.
a large
Haven't
inland
seen any
lake
bats.
sort of thing.
Sadly enough, I haven't seen any bats. I like bats.
Quite
Hi, Sean
a while
Foxconn.
ago. So it's kind of an inland sea-sized lake. I think it was 100 plus million years ago.
Yeah.
And that's what formed the Big Belt supergroup. And it's all sandstone and siltstone and stuff like that. Yeah, I understand. Sometimes you can get dolomite to fizz where you've gouged it with a knife, where it doesn't do much when you haven't. Whereas limestone just fizzes like heaven. You know, like the Dickens, no matter what. In terms of the math, first of all, it's old. It's been a while since I mixed it. If you have muriatic acid, what percentage should you do? Because we may be able to just mix some fresh stuff up. Wouldn't hurt. It'd be easy enough to do in the lab. What's your percentage of muriatic to water? About 10% muriatic is what I recollect. Am I correct, Rock? And that gives you that basic concentration. But I'm not absolutely certain. So, as I say, it's fun being on the hunt, so to speak. I like it when I got something that I can actually see and work on. I hope it cools off some. Okay. I have no clue, Jean-Francois. Rock, do you know? But anyhow, so I want 4 to 5% hydrofluoric, huh? Okay, I should be able to figure that out. Sounds about right to me, Rock. I would agree. 31, 35% somewhere. Look it up, little one. What's muriatic acid?
Just let me sit down.
Go ahead. Yeah, we should probably just make up a fresh bottle.
Probably.
You know. But yeah, it's fun. I was quite disappointed that the lower discovery cabin,
It's hydrofluoric acid.
yeah, I know how much percentage. There's a number there, like 31 to 33 or something like that for actual muriatic acid.
That's what I'm.
It's a particular grade. It's like
Looking up.
battery acid is sulfuric, but it's a particular concentration. I'll check it up, but I cannot see that here, Rock. It's 8 miles away. That's the proof. That's what I think, Brian. Standard muriatic, I think it's 32, 33, somewhere right around in there. But anyhow.
Also known as spirits of smoke. And by the way, I'm sitting right here trying to get a percentage, and nobody says. Here we go. Muriatic isn't pure hydrofluoric acid, nor is there a standard concentration. Some industrial suppliers offer muriatic that is 31.5% by mass.
Okay.
Other common dilutions include 29% and 14.5% by mass.
Huh. I've never seen that one, but anyhow. Well, we'll have to check it out. Eva, did Jean-Francois send you the book on blowpipe analyses?
I believe you might have. Just in case you didn't, could you send it again?
Okay. Yeah, that'd be cool. It would be nice if somebody might
Yeah, and I don't think the bottle we have actually has any information on it. The one in the lab is a standard brown amber bottle that says your tape label says muriatic acid. I don't know if we have an actual store.
Yeah. Go down to Home Depot. That's where I bought it.
Yeah.
But anyhow.
It's stuff for swimming pools. Shouldn't be that hard to find.
Exactly. It's the cheap stuff. But anyhow, my train of thought just got completely derailed. The cars were scattered everywhere. The engine's nowhere to be found. I don't know what I was talking about, except the muriatic acid.
No clue.
But yeah, we're having a
Home Depot is what Rock says you were talking about.
And
Just do it by density. That's a good idea.
yeah, you got a hydrometer?
I need a hydrometer. I don't think I have one. There are many things my lab does not have.
Exactly, Rock. or the pool section. I also have it in the pool section for adjusting pH in your pool.
Pool supply sells a higher percentage than Home Depot, huh? Well, that's cool.
Could be. Yeah. 31.45. Yeah, that sounds about right. So we're going to run a diluted. You get 4 to 5%. Calculator, please. $31.5 divided by 4.5, 7 to 1. Okay. So if it's around 32%, we need to go about 7 to 1. Yeah, and I've got a 5 milliliter container that I'm going to be putting it in. I'm going to make this much and put it in the little thing. That's why I prefer to just have something where I can go, okay, put in 1 milliliter of hydrochloric and a muriatic, and then, 6 milliliters of water. Bingo. Well, the higher percentages, it also outgasses faster too. I really don't like hydrochloric acid because the fumes are so obnoxious. I much prefer like sulfuric or nitric. Everything else being equal. Hydrochloric just annoys the crap out of me. Yep. Let's see. Good point, Rock. But what I'm trying to do is get from. I'm taking 31.5 divided by 4.5, which is the end state, and that gives me a 7 equal. Just a pure 7. So that I would think you take 1 milliliter of hydrochloric at 31.5 and add 6 milliliters of water, and that and we should be in the ballpark there. 48 centimeters, maybe. My brother told me a story once. I don't know if it's true, but he said a big gold mine in South Africa once put a cubic foot of gold on a pedestal like 100 feet from the gate. And they said anyone who can pick that up and carry it out the gate without dropping it can have it. Nobody ever accomplished it. A couple of people got it off the pedestal, but were not able to hold it. And a lot of miners did a lot of exercise trying to see if they could do it. So they got a real tough crew. But I think a cubic foot of gold weighs like 1,200 pounds or some god-awful thing. It's a lot. Oh. So, as I said, we're having fun up on the hill, although it was a little hot. Sunday was nice. It cooled off, got little clouds. Saturday wasn't horrible because there was enough smoke to generally hold back the sun a little bit. And the new campsite's kind of nice because we're off the beaten path, so we don't have people driving by us. On the other hand, we're a little closer to any bears that might be wandering about, because right now we're basically in the forest. We're a little meadow in the forest there, but I mean, we're kind of defined by the trees that are around us. So if we did run into a couple of pine grouse on the way out, I think. They call them fool hens because they're just really not easily spooked. It's pretty crazy. But they look the size of a chicken practically. Thank you, Jean-Francois. Uh, and I'm not sure. Lauren and Jim were out frolicking today, looking at something. Don't know what's going on. Not my business. So hopefully that works out well. And overall, you're having a pretty good time. Waiting for the weather to cool down a little bit, and going from there. Anyone else got any questions or anything? How's things going with you, Brian? That is the ozone working well and inexpensively and such? I would think that would be pretty helpful. When you're using ozone to treat your sulfides, don't you wind up with sulfur dioxide gas too as a product? That would be kind of nasty. Require a fair amount of ventilation, I would think.
Couldn't you somehow turn it into sulfuric acid?
You could do anything to anything anyway if you just want to spend enough money. Yes.
Yeah,
You know?
scrubber in a bubbler or something.
Yeah, okay. I will make it for $10,000 a gallon and make 10 cc's of it. Not terribly useful. Okay. I say this is one of those things. When you've got, I'll say the smelter at Hayden that makes 6,000 tons of sulfuric acid a day, I can do that pretty economically. You know? But for stuff on our scale, yeah, it's just basically a hazardous material to be dealt with. You might try bubbling through limestone or something would work pretty well. Oh, it probably is, Chris, but to get let us not even say, let's say technical grade sulfuric acid. You know, how hard is that to get good quality technical grade without impurities, significant impurities? You know, I'm still trying to get the gold. Oh, the guy I was talking to last night was also quite surprised at how well our little sluice box seems to be working. And it seems to me that the impact mill may have a lot to do with it by turning the particles into little balls instead of flakes or fractals or things like that.
You just bubble it through dilute sulfuric and it gets shorter. That's good to know. I've been wanting to
And
bubble
it, I say it's one of those things that seems to work really well. So, yeah, when they graphene is quite a material if they figure out a way to make it production quantities and stuff. Okay, that makes sense, Jean-Francois. So, I say that's about it. We'll do what we can to get more pictures and some good panning results and get the methodology documented for the newer people, so give them a little better guidance on how to go about something like that. It's kind of cool because we got a spot where we just found that spot, so we're starting at the beginning. And so that's kind of cool. It's It's fun. It's a little bit hot, but I think Wednesday is supposed to be down to 75, isn't it? Seems to
I
me.
believe so.
Yeah, I think the temperature up on top of the hill was about 80 this weekend.
It was beautiful up there this weekend.
Cool, Brian. Those would come in handy. Pretty soon it's going to start getting cool. It does mapping too, huh? Sweet. Still trying to get a good microscope. But anyhow, that's something. And say that's about it. The gentleman I was talking to yesterday, he's kind of in your neck of the woods there, Chris, Northern California. He was looking at a couple of old mines, sort of things, and we were discussing various options. He's going to be moving here soon because, I mean, he moved from Portland, Oregon to Northern California, and he's deciding that was, if not necessarily from the frying pan to the fire, maybe from the fire into the frying pan. And now he's going to be moving, and so he was looking at what to do with these properties. And we discussed the positives and negatives of leasing versus sales and stuff like that. And of course, one of the big problems with leasing is that you've got liability issues that you can incur when someone else is out there doing stuff if they don't permit it right or whatever. Whereas if you sell it, pretty much clear. Only 2 likes? Wow, I can't even see that from here. How about you?
I'm not getting anything really in the way of stats over here, and we're probably not going to have a chat replay on this.
What does
live stream.
number 3 say?
Says the chat rate, dude.
Chat rate.
Yes, it's
Okay.
not important.
Whatever that is, yep. So, anyhow, it's got 79 views already. It's not bad.
There are 12
People
concurrent
in and out.
viewers, but the thing is, we may not even have a chat replay on here. So if there's any information you want to say from this chat,
Yeah. Okay.
write it down. And
I
yes,
used to sell magnesium.
everybody give thumbs up.
I used to sell magnesium chloride solution by the ton, Jean-Francois. It's a great dust control material because it does suck moisture out of the air at over 30% humidity, and it makes a self-watering road. It also has a little bit of binding to it too. I've had magnesium chloride treated haul roads be significantly harder than asphalt. So, yeah, it's some cool stuff. It's also good for de-icing. Yeah, how's that working out, honey bunny? Yeah, it'll do that, Brian. Very good de-icing chemical. Easy to spread. Is it what they use for dust bane? Not familiar with that particular trade name. Is the material a dark brown, or is it pretty much a clear liquid? Dark brown would generally be a lignin sulfonate, and if it was fairly clear, it would be magnesium chloride. We found calcium chloride crystals in a drill hole in Arizona. Wow. Amazing to survive the drill water. You bet. I agree. Yeah, if it looks like milk, it's mag chloride. Lignin sulfonate dark chocolate brown. Yeah. Gets to almost black. It's essentially a glue. When you make paper, not familiar with it, Jean-Francois. But when you make wood pulp out of wood, wood is cellulose fibers glued together by lignin. And it's a composite material like fiberglass. To get the pulp, take care, John. To get the pulp, so you make paper and cardboard and everything, you convert the lignin into lignin sulfonate, I believe it's sulfuric acid, and then wash it away. And then you wind up with a crap load of lignin. And that's kind of hard to get rid of. So they found out, hey, it works good to glue roads together. So let's do that. So, I say it's a good product. If you use enough of it deep enough, like you're going to want at least 2 inches of material thoroughly treated and mixed, and then laid out while it's still damp and compacted. Yeah, it'll be like pavement. You know, it does wash away eventually in the rain, though. Unlike asphalt, it is water soluble. But yeah, mag chloride, I've sold a lot of that. Yeah, thousands of tons a year. And it smells. Yeah, lignin sulfonate does smell. It's got a pretty strong odor. Magnesium chloride is a byproduct of salt production in general. You evaporate natural brines or seawater, and you get to a point where the salt precipitates out first, and then you move the remaining liquid to a second pond, you keep evaporating, and you get mostly Epsom salt falls out, and then the last thing is magnesium chloride. You can get it up to over 30% magnesium chloride through evaporation, but the whole process, start to finish, in San Francisco, takes about 5 years. Of course, they get a little rain on their salt ponds too, so it does slow down the process. It's much more efficient in San Diego. Anyone got any good questions or subjects or anything like that?
Oh,
It's only 7:30, huh?
Linda Carter has endorsed Kamala Ding Dong.
Really?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Apparently, Wonder Woman sees Kamala Ding Dong as a beauty.
Well, that kind of becomes stereotypical then, huh?
Yeah. We already know the meaning of that one. Just saying.
Yeah, that's the Tymet plant in near Las Vegas in Henderson, Nevada. They produce mag chloride that way. When it comes to selling magnesium chloride, a lot of the costs are transportation. So typically there's one producer that will have a really tremendous advantage in a particular area. Hello, Ricky. And then another
Hi,
one will
Ricky.
have it there, and another one will have it here. And only when you got somewhere near equidistant does it become very competitive. They make magnesium chloride at Great Salt Lake. Say Tymet makes it in there in Las Vegas. Then you have the salt plants in San Diego Bay and San Francisco Bay. So, you know, if you were over there by, say, Chris, you need, you're going to be looking for, who was that? Gosh. Dust Off by, Dust Off is the trade name. Whatever. Anyhow, they make it from, they've got the production from both San Diego and San Francisco.
Oh man, that's funny as hell.
So again, Southern California, they basically got the effective monopoly.
Yeah, that is funny as hell.
But by using rail, sometimes you can cut the cost down. Oh, yeah, above 33% humidity, it'll never dry out, honey bunny. It'll just stay liquid forever. That's correct, honey bunny. It's to refine the titanium. uh, I don't know. She used to be pretty. Aside from that, I don't know much about her. Linda Carter.
Oh, she was Wonder Woman.
Yeah, I know. I say
I don't think.
she used to be pretty, but I have no idea of anything else.
Oh, she still looks pretty well preserved.
Really?
Yeah,
Amazing.
she actually does.
Wow.
But she never did anything else of interest, as far as I know. I mean, she was Wonder Woman.
Most of the titanium is from mining heavy mineral sands. I know they produce a lot off of Australia. Titanium oxide is heavier than silica, and so they use gravity concentration. That's one place I know where they do use a lot of spiral classifiers. They dredge it up from the ocean bottom and then run it through spiral classifiers and get a high titanium material, which they then send off. Some of it gets turned into titanium. More gets turned into titanium oxide for pigment. Basically, that white, titanium white, titanium oxide, and there's two forms. There's rutile and ilmenite, and I forget which one is the whiter. But anyhow, your lead-based paint is to use lead oxide for the white pigment. Then that got changed to titanium-based.
Which is why my grandfather died of lead poisoning.
Yeah. What do I know about the Philippines? Well, I know the Tricky Dicky is there. I know that they have to worry a whole lot more about what China thinks than we do. But your situation over there, I'm not that familiar with. Tricky has not been very forthcoming about anything political or instability or stuff like that.
Good grief.
So I presume there's not,
That is
immediate
crazy.
issues or what. So I know it's hot and it's humid. Or to quote, what was that guy? Adrian Cronauer in Good Morning Vietnam. It's hot and it's wet.
That was a good movie.
Yeah, that was a good movie. Robin Williams was a great actor in the particular, he was very good at picking his roles and doing a good job with those roles. He's not the most general actor out there, but he was very good in many roles. Very good indeed.
Well, I'll tell you,
Hmm.
the information Black got on Bangladesh is amazing.
Yeah, by the way, Bangladesh is having some problems right now.
I mean, the information blackout on it.
Rioting,
It's amazing.
insurrection, things like that. Yeah, they got riots in England too. So, life is getting interesting. I hate that. I like my life to be interesting, not life in general. Life in general should be predictable. It's less stressful that way. Huh. Titanium deposits. What mineral and what was the form of deposition? Is this sedimentary rock from heavy mineral sands in the past, natural deposits? Or is this some other sort of deposition method? I'm not that familiar with that. I know that nowadays, when I was looking at it, most of the production was from heavy mineral sands
Oh, good Lord.
being mined directly from the ocean.
Oh, yeah. That's right. BBC did do that.
I know that everything Jean-Francois is saying is correct. The women there have been raised to be in much more of the traditional female role as they are in Western countries. And a lot of men find that to be very desirable.
Absolutely.
I knew a friend that had a Filipino wife. She was hard to understand, but she seemed to be a good wife. I don't know what it is about the Filipino language, Tagalog, but
Tagalog.
Tagalog,
Yeah, I believe so.
yeah. But anyhow, it seems to be hard for them to speak English in a reasonably American, relatively unaccented methodology. I mean, Filipinos just seem to have a tough time of it. Whereas there's a guy who's got a channel called Sanity for Sweden, and he's a Swede. The dude speaks really good American English, just hardly a hint of an accent. And I think Alex Christoforo is Greek, and he speaks very good American English too. And that might be a big change, Jean-Francois. Because if you're exposed to it at a young age,
Oh, wow.
you usually can speak it with.
Apparently,
Mama
the
Jack.
NASDAQ experienced its biggest crash in 53-year history today.
Oh, the NASDAQ dropped the most it ever has. What was the percentage point?
I don't know.
Okay.
People are just commenting on it because Lord Malarkey apparently was saying just a couple of days ago
Yeah,
that
everything's
he
wonderful.
rescued that he fixed the
Yes.
stock market.
Everything is perfect. It's wonderful.
Well, Ricky, the funny part is his friend had a Filipino wife, wonderful woman, loved her, and he could not understand a darn word she said half the time. It's like, I don't know why. She had a really, really, I think they have a really cool accent. And she actually spoke English pretty darn well.
She had the grammar.
And
I will agree. She had the
Yeah.
grammar and the syntax and the vocabulary, but the accent was just almost impenetrable for me at times. It was.
it was so funny to see him sitting there when we'd go there for lunch or something, and she'd be talking and I'd be talking, and his friend Ray would be talking, and she starts talking to him, and he puts this polite, puzzled look on his face, and his eyes just go totally vacant as he's trying to follow it while making agreeable noises. I mean, it was basically agreeable, non-committal noises all the time.
Yeah,
because
there was something
he
that
couldn't
was
follow it.
really tough for me. She'd have to translate. Yeah, this is going to be an interesting week, Jean-Francois. I don't have much to worry about moving around too much, so I'm in good shape there. Yeah, Mr. Virtue, they're going to have some very interesting week, I think. I just hope it doesn't get too interesting in the Middle East.
Well, it's really getting interesting in England right now.
Yeah, England is actually having a very dynamic time too. It's getting quite interesting. You got
Luckily, my friends over there live in nice rural areas, but they've said that family living in larger areas like Birmingham are rather discommoded.
well, I hear Algeria is unstable right now too. We got Bangladesh is unstable. I don't know what else.
Well, she didn't speak fast. She just had a Filipino accent, you know? I mean, they've got an accent, so to
Yeah,
speak.
that's true too, Ricky. They do tend to speak very quickly. They put the words out in very fast succession. That might have been a significant part of my problem. Now, I speak Spanish with very little accent because I learned Spanish in junior high school. And a lot of times it gives me trouble because people hear my accent and think, boy, this guy really knows his Spanish. And then they start coming at me and I'm like, oh, poco más despacio, por favor. You know? Baltimore is unstable, yeah. Los Angeles,
Philly is
Chicago.
looking absolutely ridiculous these days, too.
Yeah.
And I mean, there are some new videos out of Philly that you kind of have to wonder about.
And I think, was it Dick Durbin today that said if Trump gets elected, we'll just...
Raskin.
Raskin, yeah, Jamie Raskin said that if he gets elected, we'll just deny it to him. We'll invoke the 14th Amendment on January 6th and tell him to go take a hike.
Yeah, threatening civil war conditions.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what people expect. I mean, really now.
Well, okay, so what's the original genesis of that titanium-bearing material, Honey Bunny? Do you have any idea how it came to be? I say, is this like sedimentary rock that was an old, heavy mineral sand, or what? Do you have any idea?
Oh my God.
Because
That's just hot.
titanium's pretty stable. What did you walk into? Around here, it's hard to tell. We
Hi there.
our typical hour and a half discussions of what was going on here, and then it, as usual, just kind of metastasized.
Shane, if you have any questions about any kind of mining or prospecting, this is the place to ask them.
Yeah. Did you see our video this week on the new vein we uncovered there, and we discussed what our plan is from here and what kind of sampling and testing and stuff we're going to be doing on it. But we had a good week with the exception of the bearings on the bob mill decided to crater, so we're waiting on new bearings. Not a big deal, but annoying. We'd like to get that tank filled so we can get it doing its thing. That's another thing we need to do tomorrow when we get out there is pump that preg pond out. Yeah, it's an interesting vein. It's not what you expect to see generally, which is a fairly solid line of quartz. It's chunks embedded in some other looser material. And so, yeah, we're going to be crushing and panning and doing a lot of that this week with all the samples we got this weekend to get it all ready for the bob mill. But, yeah, the bearings won't be here until Friday morning, and with the panning results, we'll probably be heading out to the top of the hill. Did you? Oh, hell yeah, Brian! We came back with a full load. That trailer was wobbling just a little bit, because we had some pretty full buckets. We got 5 buckets of the quartz, 3 buckets of the screened 1/2 inch minus, and that's just from the disturbed area there where we found the new vein. And then we got about 30 buckets from the lower discovery cabin area, from off of the dumps and stuff. I was unable to, despite more diligent earth moving, still haven't found. Well, thank you, Shane. I appreciate it. We're gonna have some more videos coming out in the next week or two showing how we handle these samples in an unknown area. That's undetermined at the present time, Brian. However, with our experience in the area, the chances are pretty good that it's a reasonable grade with, as Ricky is asking, over 50% gravity recoverable gold. Okay? All the stuff in this area that we've sampled, the quartz all has gold in it. Nothing has shown exciting numbers. Interesting. So basically, it's kind of a weathering concentration. Interesting. Thank you, honey bunny. So yeah, I say we got an interesting situation there. Access is easy. I could jog there in less than a minute from camp. So we got a quick run with the quad. It's on a relatively planar surface, although it's at a slope, but by starting at the bottom of the slope and cutting in, we can work kind of horizontally and the face will get bigger and bigger and bigger in front of us. All in all, it looks like a pretty good situation. Now, we shall see how much gold is there. When does it start getting too cold there to mess around? It's highly unpredictable, but generally somewhere between late October and early December. It's not so much a matter of how cold it is, it's how much snow there is on the ground. Once it starts snowing and not melting, then your access gets pretty flaky. But I would expect we should be able to probably access it to like mid-October with a pretty high reliability. By the way, why don't you take over for just a little bit? Little one, I need a short break. Oh.
Hi, everybody. I have absolutely nothing to say because I have not had time to research anything because I have to deal with this stupid OBS crap. But it should be noted, there is a number on the board that is going up. And just a few things off the top of my head. This one is really gross. You dudes are probably not going to want to listen to this, okay? But there was a dude in a dress that had the infamous bottom surgery. You know, the one where they, like, turn Mr. Happy inside out and do other really, really scary things to become a chick. Well, unfortunately, this did not go well. He posted on Reddit that his clitoris had fallen off, and he wasn't sure if this was normal. I can tell you, as a female, they're not detachable. Okay, just saying. They're not detachable. But in other news, gold and silver are on super sale right now. We are talking freaking clearance if you can get to the stores. The price I paid today, people, was the same price I was paying 11 months ago. We backed up the truck 100%. Okay. This is a fantastic time to be buying gold and silver because for whatever reason, even though World War III is breaking out and, all that stuff, metals prices are falling. So this is an excellent time for you to buy for weight. Go for the cheapest, lowest price generics you can get and build your weight because it's going to bring your dollar cost average down over time. Hello, Dean. Just so you know, if you have any mining questions whatsoever, this is the place to ask them. He is about to get back on. Oh, and yeah, we all know that Taylor Swift did not make history recording a 10-minute song. Just don't happen, okay? Are there actually any places for prospect in the Arkansas area? Do you know of any, Bear?
For diamonds,
Well, diamonds, yeah.
I'm not familiar with any, but I know in Georgia there are.
Shane, what I would suggest to you is look around for local prospector clubs, local mineral clubs, local gem and mineral societies, things of that nature, and Gold Prospectors Association of America if they have a thing in your area. Because if you find a local prospecting club, usually for a very nominal fee, you can join as a membership. And if you have any gold claims in your area or mineral claims in your area, you can enjoy using those claims as a group member. And those are the people you want to talk to find out where to go in your area because they know stuff.
There you go. Yeah, Honey Bunny's pretty close there. She's in Arkansas. But anyhow, Eva's advice is pretty good for everybody. And you're in Wisconsin, Dean. Take care, Rock. Thanks for dropping in. I should have some good video for you next week. Okay?
Wisconsin is somewhere near Michigan, isn't it?
Yeah, well, Wisconsin, that's where...
Then he
Flower
might
Gold
want to
Lizard
check the
is.
Great Lakes.
Yeah. Take care, Jean-Francois.
Dean, if you have not found Flower Gold Wizards' YouTube channel yet, Flower Gold Wizard works out of Michigan, and he does a lot of prospecting and finds gold in the Great Lakes area. So,
They were too weird for me. What is he talking about?
the GPAA group in his area.
Okay. So, anyhow, I say, we got a real interesting target to attempt to exploit. And that makes life interesting, but we still haven't gotten any panning results yet even. So that should happen tomorrow. And then we'll probably start a couple of bottle roll tests. And we should have plenty of time to do that this week with the Bob mill being down.
And yes, you will like Flower Gold Wizard. He is a really, really cool guy.
Yeah.
If anybody can direct you to where to find good prospecting in your area, it would be him. And if you want to try hard rock mining, come on vacation to Montana. We live in the state capital. We can get together and we can show you around. This is a target-rich environment. You can't fling a dead cat around here without hitting a mine.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Now, the area does have a lot of stuff. I mean, we were out sapphire mining a couple weeks ago when her son was here. But this has a lot of mineralization over here. And you can go to Butte. They got a mine tour there and a museum, etc. Well, they got a lot of stuff around here when it comes to mining. Yeah, and anybody says in Arkansas they got 2 known and proven diamond mines and 2 rumored private prospects. How are real estate prices? They're going up because all the people from the left coast have decided, wow, it sucks here. Let's go someplace that's nice. And then they bring their voting with them. You know? Have you any idea what a regular family size house is going for nowadays here in Helena?
In Helena, I have seen in the last month prices going from as low as $60,000 for a small handyman fixer-upper things in the suburb, not directly in the city, up to, you know, $500,000, million, $5 million, $10 million out on the lake, etc. We have an extremely wide housing market here, in the sense that you will find things in our county and across the state. You will find things that go anywhere from 50, 60 grand to multiple millions. Just in this county, we have things that go from 60 grand to multiple millions. And what he said about people moving in is quite true. But most of those people, good point here, are in the bigger cities like Bozeman and Billings and Great Falls and Missoula. Helena, they tend to overlook because we don't have the fancy public transit system and the other things that grab these people.
Probably be cheaper than what you're paying for, Chain Monska.
Chain, you can probably find something comparable on a good sized lot for that price or less. Now, if you want a desirable area, it could be a lot worse. Like, there's lakefront property right here in Helena, and they gave me heart failure. We're talking $5.5 million houses. I could not believe it. We have great country stuff around us in this county and the next county over that you're close enough to a small town, close enough to Helena, that you can get in and do your shopping and everything, and there's still unincorporated, non-covenant land and houses available. Because a lot of times what happens in that case is the yo-yos from the left coast want the uncovenanted land because they figure they're going to go out there and start their little commune or whatever. They get out there and try to establish HOAs and they want to pave streets and put up street lights and incorporate, and the natives are like, screw you, and they drive them out by being very, very rude. So you can get some good land out there and some good houses out there.
So it's a fairly low population density state and very rural feel to it, most of it, except for, as I say, there's a few cities, Bozephornia, People's Republic of Missoula, you know, a couple of them like that. But there's a lot of farming, ranching, mining. Used to be, take care, David, a lot of logging, but the Forest Service has been less hospitable to logging over the last few decades. So instead of letting somebody log it and keep it healthy, they just let it burn to the ground. It's annoying. So, as I say, when it comes to hard rock gold, it's a target-rich environment. When this state, this territory opened up, and they started finding gold. I mean, we live about a mile from Last Chance Gulch, okay, which was discovered in, I believe, 1886. Could easily be wrong on that.
Somewhere around there.
Might have been 66. No, probably 66. But anyhow. And the reason it's called Last Chance Gulch is there was a party of prospectors looking now for those of you who are not familiar, when you got virgin territory and you're looking for gold, you go to the various drainages, you find areas which are reliably going to be gold traps, and then test them. If you can't find any gold in a good gold trap in a drainage, there's probably no gold up in the drainage. You go to the next one, next one, next one. And they came through here from Rimini area down into the Prickly Pear Valley here, and then went north and went all around. And basically they said, that gulch is our last chance. If we don't find anything there, we're just going to go head down to, I think it was Alder Gulch. And, just go mining there at some of the other established operations. And they found gold in Last Chance Gulch. So that's the name of the road. That's the name of the gulch. Around here, gulch means basically a drainage or a small canyon sort of thing. Okay? In southern Arizona, you'd call it canyon. Cañón de Oro, cañón de this, cañón de that. Around here, it's gulch.
It should also be noted that we have no sales taxes in this state. There are very, very few towns that have what you could call a tourist tax. It's a small tax that supports the local fishery or whatever. There's a couple of them around us, but not many. Fairly low property taxes, fairly low income taxes. So this is a good state to live in if you're a sane person. Now, if you are not a sane person, if you like Kamala Harris and other yo-yos like that, please don't come here. We're full. Go away.
Yep.
We want sane people.
And so, I say, that's what they would do. Now, I was just researching the area near top of the hill. Within 10 miles, there was a gulch that reportedly was very rich. I mean, that's clear. But some of the material had up to 25 ounces per pan. Okay. So that gives you what they have found around here.
I can check in at the game store here in town and find out, but I would pretty much say so. We have, like I said, sane people here, and Warhammer is a sane person thing, as far as I'm concerned, anyway.
Yeah. So, say that's kind of how things started in this neck of the woods.
But yeah, we have a game store here in town.
Yeah. The guy who used to own the Drumlummon mine, which is, 20 miles, 25 miles. Yes,
25 ounces
of gold per pan, not per ton.
Which is a little over 2 troy pounds, people. Let's put this in perspective. A troy kilo.
So,
or something.
That gives you an idea, yeah. Double-digit percentages gold. And so, anyhow, that's how this area really got started and settled and such.
Oh, and Shane, we moved here in January several years ago. So trust me, winter is not all that bad.
And I say, doing the research stuff is pretty interesting. There's a book I got at, what was it? That was an antique thing, I think it was. But anyhow, and it was pretty interesting. The societal constructs that they had back a ways back. The one that I thought was pretty funny, I don't know. Yeah, I should have marked that one, but basically, the postmaster in Washington, D.C., got a letter from one of these little mining towns or whatever. Please send a new postmaster. The old one was, was hung by the people here. They took offense to some of his activities, so they hung him. We sent a new postmaster to the post office. They had vigilante committees because one thing that would happen is that if a unscrupulous person became sheriff, they could do all kinds of interesting things. Down there in Alder Gulch, the sheriff was the head of the highwayman group, basically. He was the one that was, telling people who to rob and such. So, some guy had a bunch of gold and he was going to head back east. And, if he told the sheriff, well, they were probably going to get, the citizens finally figured it out. And eventually all of the miscreants wound up swinging.
The water wells in our area are pretty good. The water actually tastes delicious here in Helena, minimal treatment. In some parts of surrounding counties, like if you get out by Silver Star, you're going to want to get some extra filtration. But our water here is not all that bad.
No, it's pretty good. It comes from the Missouri River.
Fairly high iron content in some people's wells, but it's easy enough to deal with.
Well, that lab that we use for analyzing our solutions, one of the big things is water analysis. And if you've got a well around here, you have to have it checked for mercury and arsenic and lead and all that other stuff. Again, you've got a lot of mineralization around here. So.
Oh no, we don't have sulfur wells around here.
Yeah, I don't. Nothing.
As a matter of fact, even the hot springs around here don't smell really sulfurous or really stinky.
Yeah.
Our hot springs are not stinky. So.
What is it? 2 miles that way?
Yeah, we've got hot springs like 2 miles down the road, and then there's hot springs like, how far is it over to Sopertown? Yeah.
Boulder Hot Springs would be about 30 miles.
Yeah. But our hot springs do not smell like sulfur. Now, if you go down by Bozeman, you don't want to be down by Bozeman anyway because everybody who lives there is crazy. But if you're down by Bozeman, you're down by Yellowstone, and yeah, things are a little stinkier down there. Here in Helena, in town, we have amazing tap water. I've drank well water all over the place around here, and it always tastes fine.
I would recommend that general concept, Dean. I sold out my business. Even I came up here, got to credit her, and just kind of started over doing what we like. Are there any motorcycle road tracks in Montana? Are you talking paved or unpaved? When it comes to unpaved, crap load. When it comes to paved, I don't know, although I know someone I could ask.
Yeah, we know exactly the person to ask about that. They're really big in the motorcycle world here.
Yeah.
So we will find out where all that is. But unpaved, there's actually a very healthy motorcycle culture in this local area. As a matter of fact, tell them about the Hunter, the little kid, kid.
We know a guy, he's 15 years old, and I got to check and see how he did, but he was in the Nationals last week. National championship. So he's one of the top 40 or something like that.
We will ask about paved ones, Shane. If you've got his email address, send him an email to remind us.
That's a good idea.
We will find out about paved motorcycle tracks for you.
Yeah.
We know just who to ask.
Now, I don't know what it is nowadays. Was it 75 if not marked? What was the speed limit out there when not marked?
70.
70? Okay. It used to be that if there was no speed limit signs, there was no speed limit up here. It was, you get to decide. And I've actually, that would have been in the 60s, been doing 90 miles an hour down near Bozeman, heading up to go fishing in the morning with my uncle. So, yeah, it used to be you wouldn't need a track. Now, one thing you do have to look out for here is critters. Okay, because if you're going high speed on the road, you just have to watch out for meat on the hoof, because that takes out a
We
lot
may
of
get
cars.
severe thunderstorms tomorrow, by the way,
Okay, whatever,
according to this, and Wednesday.
do what we can. So, I say it used to be pretty interesting, but yeah, you got obstacles of opportunity out there. We hit a deer just the other day. Luckily, it ran into the car instead of the other way around, bounced off. Yep. Now around here we got elk and moose and, things that will take your ass out.
And also around here, you can get a roadkill tag. If you hit
Yeah.
something like a deer, you can get a roadkill tag.
Yeah,
Wow.
get on your smartphone.
That's quite a racing track.
Um,
Cool.
And we do have grizzly bears up here. We have yet to see one, and we've been spending a lot of time in the field for the last couple of years. But there are fatal bear interactions every couple of years. We had that one was killed, wasn't it, last year over there in Avon?
Yeah, but wasn't that the woman who was being an idiot, or was
Yeah.
that the year before?
Yeah, that was evolution in action.
Yeah, she was an idiot. As far as I know, Shane, you do not have to be a resident. You can hunt anything here if you're willing to pay the non-resident fee. I will say, our resident hunting and fishing costs are super reasonable. So that is something to remember.
Yeah.
And Dean, as for getting your wife to move, just point out to her that she should not want to live around crazy people. Just saying.
No, what is the old timers package? Is that like $45?
Yeah, like $52 for everything.
Yeah.
Dean, the most snow we have seen in Helena on the ground at any given time was a couple of feet.
Yeah.
But the thing is, since the temperature was below zero at the time, the wind blows the snow right off the road. We've been driving in this town for 3 winters now with no snow tires, not even needing four-wheel drive in town, because when we do get snow here, it is dry enough and cold enough that it does not stick on the roads and it just blows off. So there is that.
In general. In town, people aren't moving that fast, so they do have a lot of plows and grit and stuff like that. But on the highways, a lot of times, it could be snowing and you've got a basically dry road because you're just, the traffic's just blowing it off.
Now, there are other places in the state that get a whole lot more snow. Up in the mountains here outside, up by Elliston and up by McDonald Pass, by the end of the winter, they'll have 6-8 feet on the ground, some places, but it's always the powder snow. I have never seen any snowman snow, as we call it, the wet, heavy stuff that you make snowmen out of. I've never seen snowman snow falling from the ground. The
On the
only
ground?
falling from the sky onto the ground. The only time we have snowman snow to make snowmen with is when we had dry snow, when we had skiing snow, and then the temperature hovers around 34 for 2 or 3 or 4 days. And by then the snow is leaving.
Yeah.
So,
And to get back to the sportsman's package, for around $50, when you're a geezer like me, you get general fishing license, general hunting license, and the general hunting license contains one general deer tag, one general elk tag, and upland game bird tag. And
you can buy additional deer tags over the counter and elk tags for like $5 to $15 in some areas. We also have some of the longest hunting seasons in the country.
And if this year was the first year I did any hunting, that was because of Jimmy down there in Silver Star. But, one place there, the Tobacco Root Mountains, we could shoot either sex, either species. Whitetail, mule deer, male or female. If it's got hooves, shoot it. On the other side of the road there, in the Highlands thing, it was, I believe it was male mule deer only. But that's, and we've seen herds of elk, over 200 elk.
Dean, how long is our deer season here, Ben? It was like 2 or 3 weeks with guns.
Yeah, it's a lot more than that.
It's a couple of weeks, 3 weeks with guns, and that's not including the bows and all the other stuff.
Yeah, the miscellaneous things.
The miscellaneous things.
You can, it's hard to get.
I mean, basically, you got an entire month and a half of hunting up here for deer and elk.
Okay.
And moose.
You have to draw for elk. You have to draw for antelope. Not elk. Draw for moose. Draw for antelope. In some areas, for some things, you have to draw for elk. And, like if it's known that these big bulls in this area, might have to draw to get that. That's not going to be a general elk tag. Okay?
But the other thing that should be noted in that regard is around here, they keep drawing until they give out all the tags. They also have the second chance drawings, and the range management groups and the ranches can get permission to cull herds like deer or elk. And if you get on the list to get drawn to do one of these range management things, then you're guaranteed to get your animal, because that rancher can take out X number of deer. And if you get in on that, and the rancher can request people they know. So, they can choose
They
their own
keep out
hunters
anyone
if
they don't want
to.
there. Yes.
And you get to hunt until you get your deer if you get in on that kind of deal. So that's something I want him to get on down the road.
Yeah, we shall see. But anyhow, I say the hunting here is a lot better than it was in Arizona.
And the fishing, walleye.
Fishing is good. We got walleye. We have some pike. The pike is unlimited because they're considered a pest over here. To catch a 2-pound rainbow trout is pretty routine.
And brown trouts. We got brown trout in some area that you can keep.
We got brown. We got brookies.
Kokanee.
I think you can get like 20 brookies.
Kokanee. We have kokanee.
Yeah, we have not too many that I've seen. But fishing's good. Hunting's good. Scenery's great. Winters are not bitterly cold for extended periods of time. You will have short periods, like 1 or 2 periods in a year, where it'll drop down in the 25 below or more range for a couple or 3 days. Most of the time in the winter, in the deep winter, it's bouncing around 0. You may get 10 degrees, 15 degrees positive. Lots of public land and a lot of private land is accessible through, I forget what the name of that plan is. But basically, the landowner gets some kind of compensation from the government. If you want to hunt that land, you have to arrange it ahead of time, although it's pretty much easy. Like, I want to hunt this time.
Yeah, it comes under range management or something.
And then you sign in at the gate, and you go hunt, and if you catch something, you shoot something, you sign in. Yeah, block management, that's what they call it. So, if you want to see kind of what it's like up here, there is a show, I forget which channel it's on, called Wardens. And what it is and now it's called Yellowstone Wardens. Google it on whatever. But it's about Montana Fish and Game wardens out in the field.
And there's also one
Really
on
good show.
Amazon called Montana Wild that will give you some information.
Yeah, that gives you an idea what it's up around here. And when it comes to outdoor stuff, I think there's a lot of opportunities here.
Oh.
Okay, good, Dean. I say there's just a lot of things you can do here if you like being out in nature. We're generally out in nature a lot. So when it comes to things like fishing and stuff, usually I get, some fishing done in the early winter. You can go down below the dams, and there's still open water and stuff like that. You can go ice fishing here. And then mid to late spring, water's open again. You can do that. And it's still got too much snow in the high country for me to go mining. You guys need good cable dudes. We sure could use some right here.
Absolutely. Actually, we have a lot of call around here for various line people and phone people and things.
General handyman, home repair, small construction, and big construction stuff is actually pretty good environment if you don't need to work, 12 months out of the year. Okay? Because there's only so much you can do in wintertime when it comes to, like landscaping and stuff. A lot of people will have a landscaping / snow removal company. They got, in the warm season, they do landscaping. In the winter, they clear driveways and stuff. Sounds like a good plan to me. But yeah, construction and stuff, they're usually jobs open during the summer. But
Now, I know I've seen ads in the area for the linemen and phone people and cable people.
could be. I know Jimmy down there in near Silver Star. Where's he at right now? That he just can't get any good help.
Well, I'll tell you, Shane, I have zero idea how good that is, but it sounds fantastic. What I would do is our local cable, phone, etc. company is Spectrum. So I would go on their website and see, they do the internet, the cable, and all that happy crappy. I would go on their website and see if they're hiring in the area, and if so, what they're hiring for.
I've also seen them laying fiber optic cable around here
Yeah.
this year. So yeah, check it out. I like it here. I'm happy. Of course, I'm basically retired, and my wife likes to go camping with me and do stuff. So,
And bearing in
That's kind of ideal
mind,
for
we
us.
have a relatively low cost of living. I mean, for this
compared
week,
to a lot of places, yeah.
yeah, compared to a lot of places. This week, regular gas is $3.34 a gallon. A case of large eggs, which is 5 dozen eggs, is $11.98. What do we pay for auto insurance for 2 cars, liability with collision and shit?
We get full coverage basically for except certain things
Yeah.
because of old cars.
Yeah.
$145.
$145 a month for insurance, full coverage, collision for 2 old vehicles.
Yeah, for 2 old cars.
For
Yep.
2 old cars, which is not bad. Even our fast food restaurants around here start paying at $14-15 an hour. Okay, the lowest paying place in town in terms of big companies is Winco. They are $13.50 an hour and up, but they have an employee discount and they have a lot of partner discounts with other companies. So there is that one, And yeah,
I know where you're at.
Sheridan is beautiful. Starlink is Skynet. Public service announcement.
But anyhow, so yeah, if it sounds like it's potentially interesting, that you might like it, I would suggest you check it out. Okay? Because I used to live in southern Arizona and such, and I grew up in Yuma. We had hunting and fishing and this and that, and this kicks its ass. Okay?
And also, a few other prices we have around. The lowest meat prices this week were 79 cents a pound for 10-pound bags of chicken leg quarters and $1.78 a pound for boneless pork shoulder. Average price for hamburger is about $3 a point. You know, about $3 a pound is your average hamburger price at Winco or Walmart. You've got different grocery store chains to choose from in this town. You have one movie theater, a Lowe's, a Home Depot, a Costco, you know, the usual. And yeah, it's all Skynet at this point, but in particular, Starlink is Skynet. I had a dream about that shit a year before Elon even announced he was doing it.
Where's Council, Idaho, Ricky? What general part of Idaho are you talking about?
Council Bluffs, maybe? I don't
No,
know.
I said Council.
Yeah.
Council Bluffs. I think Council Bluffs is Arkansas.
Mhm.
No, we like it here. The people are nice. People in general are quite polite. You know, if you're waiting to get across the road, they will stop. You know, things like that. It's a nice, relaxed atmosphere. You know, and I enjoy it. Absolutely.
It is beautiful.
Yeah.
Montana rocks. Arizona sucks rocks. There is a difference there, okay?
You may notice she's a little bit opinionated on this.
Well, everybody knows Arizona sucks rocks. Place is terrible. There is a marginal risk of severe weather tomorrow. I don't know what they have in mind, but
Yeah, well, as long as we get out to the ranch and make sure everything's thoroughly covered up. It's kind of covered up right now.
yeah, it looks like the rain is supposed to start at like 2 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Council Bluff, Iowa, yeah, where the Mormons came from.
There you go.
Told you I thought Council Bluffs was Iowa.
Look at that. Adam Smith. Yeah. So, anyhow, any other questions? See, Dean, you ask, you shall receive.
That sounds absolutely cool, Ricky. Idaho was a pretty neat place, actually. I will say that.
Yeah.
The Museum of Queen in Pocatello, Idaho is fantastic. Good night, Shane, and be sure to email us. We will be happy to hook you up and give you a tour if you come out here on vacation.
Not of some of the places that we go to because those are private and stuff, but we'll give you something.
Well,
We'll find something for you to
by
do.
then, hopefully, we're members of the Helena Mineral Society.
Yeah. We shall see what we shall see. Anyone else? Got any questions, comments? Any comments on my incredible handsomeness? Should be good for a few laughter things.
You are a legend in your own mind. This is known.
Sounds good to me. I'll go with that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we absolutely know it. Like,
So, anyhow, because the Bob mill is down, we're going to be doing mainly sample prep and stuff. I'm not exactly sure what you mean by that, but I presume that's a compliment, Mr. Virtue. We just live our lives the way. Yes, Dean, we're on every Monday evening at 6 o'clock Montana time. I think we've been over a year without missing a day. That's true, Ricky. It's a fairly mineralized state also. So yeah, no, we do Monday evening, 6 o'clock. It's a relatively small group of people. Let's see. Shows 114 people have gone in and out, or 114 visits. 12 people now. That's fairly consistent. Okay. That, we have, between 10 and 25 people. And that way we can answer the questions. I don't know if you saw us a couple months ago on the Discovery Channel, but you should have seen the look on that producer's face when I asked him, if you don't have to, don't mention, my YouTube channel or anything, because we're already busy enough, and he had kind of an interesting look on it because everyone was probably out trying to get promotion and stuff. We don't worry about making. Getting tired of ranching, huh? Yeah, it gets be a lot of work. But Eva and I are in a niche that we enjoy. We've got a workload that we enjoy, and we're not looking to dramatically expand stuff. And like last night, a guy wanted me to talk to him about some issues he had and things, and I could take my time. I was talking to him almost 2 hours, wasn't I?
Yeah.
And I like to be able to do that. So we're not playing the algorithms. We're not trying to, make a big channel, because then the channel controls us instead of us controlling the channel. And we like to go mining, and we like to do stuff, not be celebrities. I mean, I'm horrified with the thought of being a celebrity, but quite frankly, I kind of like being anonymous. It was so funny when Lauren pulled up at the causeway that one time when I was fishing.
Yeah.
This guy, now, you have to understand Lauren. Lauren is a very expressive person. He is boisterous, and I'm fishing over there at the causeway, side of the road. His truck pulls up, guy gets out, goes, "Keep going, Hard Rock University." But he didn't say glad to see you, but it was like damn glad to see you or something like that. Oh, that was hilarious. That was so cool. And he's been a great friend. But yeah, I don't mind being a bit of a celebrity, but I prefer being a person as opposed to a personality. We've met Alex several times, and he's a nice guy too. By the way, Alex, how's your did anything come of that interview? But the people that you see here, Dean, they're just good people in general. That's and we like it that way. People trying to help everybody and give people advice and information and stuff. So Eve and I have a great life. We love it that way. So that's what we're doing. We're just living the dream. So I think we're pretty well talked out, unless somebody's got something up. By the way, Ricky, if you're ever going through Helena, get in touch with us. Like to say hi. That's another thing we get to do a lot. People are driving through or whatever, and stop in. We'll have a hamburger or something. It's pretty cool. Ooh, I ought to talk to Aaron about panning too. This would be a good week.
Oh yeah.
Plenty of time.
Exactly.
Let me put him on my little list here. Okay. Anyone got anything? And you also see, Dean, how a good question will drive the conversation for quite a while. That's why we like questions.
Many, many mining questions. And next week I will have beautiful pictures to show you guys because I'm going to dig out the microscope and everything, and we're going to get real organized here.
Yeah, we have a
Hopefully the
little extra
live
time.
stream goes better.
Anyhow, nice to meet you, Dean. And when you have questions, just ask them. It works. So happy prospecting and keep it safe out there.